In any competitive game, certain arenas will be favored over others. Some battlefields rise above the rest, while others fade into obscurity. But it takes something truly special for a map to be hated. But does Icebox deserve that hatred? And what can be done to fix it? I'm sorry, but liking a Riot game is a terminal illness. If you want to try and save yourself, go outside, take a shower, maybe read a good book. It would be a much better use of your time than playing this stupid fucking game. If you're down with the sickness, then let's talk. Icebox is the 5th map released for the game Valorant, a CS clone where the tactical gameplay loop is taken from Counter-Strike and seasoned with superpowers. The game is intended to be slow and methodical, with players fighting for map control in realistic gunfights. It's also an esports title, with millions of dollars in prizes at the highest tiers. Because of this, the design and layout of each map is particularly important. Every position, angle, and entrance has to be placed precisely in order to make a map that is both fun and balanced. Icebox is the work of some of the best game developers in the industry. Every part of this map has been carefully crafted by a professional team, combed over by playtesters, and it sucks. It fucking sucks. That's just my opinion, of course, but Riot has reworked this map multiple times and they still refuse to keep it in the map pool. We're still playing blind. Why? What about Icebox makes it such a terrible map? Well, what makes a map good? Before I start with map design, I would like to thank our sponsor. Just kidding, I don't get sponsors. Why are you whack? If you memorize this spot,
here comes the party!
it's too short.
Spike planted.
Thanks again to our sponsor for supporting this channel. Link is in the description below. Let's start basic. Attackers, defenders, and a bomb. The attackers start with a bomb. They have to plant it in a designated area and protect it until it explodes. The defenders either have to prevent the bomb plant or defuse it before time runs out. Strike, Counter-Strike. If we line up the attacker spawn, bomb site, and defender spawn, we get a lovely King of the Hill map. But remember, we're looking for chess, not TF2. So we have to find a way to make this gameplay more tactical. Instead of one bomb site, let's use 2. This forces defenders to split up. Attackers want an easier site take, so they are rewarded for finding the weaker site. This defender split adds a fog of war element to the game, but it comes with a new problem. No matter which site attackers pick, they always have the numbers advantage. Because of this, a neutral map is actually skewed in the attacker's favor. If we want to make a balanced map, we have to account for this inherent attacker bias. This can be done in a few ways. First, we can shift the bomb sites further into defender territory. This means that attackers have to contest aggressive defenders before reaching either site. It also gives defenders more time to respond to attacker aggression, and to rotate players across the map. The second way we can counter attacker bias is by adding choke points to key areas. Now attackers can't just rush in at random. They need a clear and well-coordinated plan to break out of these choke points. Now our map is skewed towards defenders and roughly balanced. It kind of sucks to play as attacker though. With only 2 lanes, defenders can really just turtle back and passively win each round. If only there was a way for attackers to break through. This is the beauty of the mid lane. It's a neutral lane that runs from attacker spawn to defender spawn and connects to both bomb sites. Mid opens up the map for attackers, giving them a way to break through those tight choke points. Mid also has the fastest rotation speed, allowing attackers to pivot between targets before defenders have time to respond. Taking control of the mid lane effectively counters the defender skew, giving full advantage back to the attacking team. However, mid control isn't given to the attackers for free. Defenders start with mid control, and controlling mid gives defenders their own set of advantages. That fast rotation speed means that defenders can respond quickly to attacker rushes if they're willing to cross neutral territory. Mid also gives defenders the option to quickly attack the enemy flank. Thus, mid is a neutral objective that gets the team controlling it a massive advantage, enabling tense fights for map control without needing any fancy set pieces or gimmicky terrain. With a mid lane, 2 bomb site lanes, and a few connectors, we've reached a pretty familiar state. This is the 4-square layout, the backbone of tac shooters since 2001. It's elegant, tactical, and perfect for the kind of gameplay that we want. Now that we have our basic layout, it's time to decide what our gimmick is for the map. Ever since the release of Valorant, there's been a piece of misinformation that's been floating around. Every map has a gimmick. Now, this is true. Every map does have some kind of gimmick. However, when people discuss these gimmicks, they point towards the zipline on Icebox, or the teleporter on Bind. This is not how you design a map. A designer isn't going to randomly add a teleporter. They're going to build from a basic foundation first. Let's start with a simple question. What would a map look like without a mid lane? Well, what does the mid lane accomplish? From the rank before, we know it gives the team that controls it the rotation advantage and adds neutral site entrances. This allows defenders to fast flank the enemy and for attackers to pivot before defenders can respond. With that in mind, it's pretty obvious to see how a teleporter could have been a solution to that initial question. But notice how the teleporter isn't the gimmick. The removal of mid is. With all of that said, I think it's finally time to talk about off-rip. We're dealing with a typical 4-square. We have an obvious B main, mid, and A main setup with some connectors. Now, Riot never released anything talking about the layout of this map. I found a lot about the environmental design, but I couldn't find any explicit gimmick. But if I had to guess, I'd say that the gimmick of Icebox is that both bomb sites have 2 stories. Now, verticality is nothing new in TAC FPS games, but usually the valid plant spaces are limited to a single level. Icebox challenges that design trend with these vertical plant zones. Now we can start to hypothesize how that gimmick forms and creates the map's identity and layout. The most obvious effect of these vertical bomb sites is that the rest of the map includes a lot of verticality. All 3 lanes of this map have multiple pathways with varying elevations. When used well, verticality can be a great way to add variety to a map. However, it has to be used cautiously. Once terrain becomes too vertical, it starts to act as cover. If we make a single lane that has a harsh vertical split, then that lane won't act like a single lane. It'll act like 2 smaller lanes. This is fine if this is intentional, but a map has to be balanced with these lanes in mind. 2 paths for attackers makes their job easier, so the defenders are given advantage in different ways to make up for it. Otherwise, why would attackers bother to go anywhere else? For example, let's look at Sunset. Sunset A site has 2 lanes for attackers, one that connects directly to A site, while the other one intersects with a defender-sided connector before reaching the site. Thus, A main is easier for attackers to take. To balance this out, the mid path to A is extremely difficult for attackers, and crosses deeper into defender territory. On the other side of the map, B main is one narrow lane, so it's harder for attackers to fight through. However, B has a more accessible mid entrance, so if attackers fight for mid, they can pretty consistently take this second entrance. The map is thus balanced so that both sides have an attacker entrance, a defender entrance, and a neutral entrance. Gameplay should be spread roughly equally across the map, reducing repetitive engagements. So let's compare Icebox. It looks like B has one lane, there's a lot of vertical space, but most of it is after the choke point, or it requires movement agents to burn their utility. In most situations, this space can just be treated as one lane. A pretty choke heavy lane, to be honest. Maybe mid will be more attacker friendly. Mid has 1 attacker entrance, and 4 defender entrances. Damn, this map is super CT sided. Where are attackers supposed to find any value? Mid technically has 2 vertically distinct paths, but since both are after a harsh choke point, these rarely find value outside of lurkers, and Killjoy is a mainstay in the meta, so even lurkers struggle to accomplish anything. With how defender-sided this half of the map is, the only way Icebox can possibly be balanced is if A site is a broken attacker-sided mess. Not only are there 2 vertically distinct lanes, but those lanes are separated into their own horizontally distinct mini lanes. Here's what Haven A site would look like if it had the same layout. How are you defending this? But it gets worse. At least Haven has choke points. Do you see any choke point here? To top it all off, there's a fucking zip line going over the entire thing. Every single person on the attacker team can take a unique path to site. How are defenders meant to hold this? What if we gave them a million stupid little angles? That way attackers can't just steamroll onto site. Is this really a good solution? Is there any tactical understanding that makes this better? Of course not. The only way to play Icebox as a defender is to stack as many people on A site as possible, rat in stupid angles, and hope your opponents aren't ready for it. On almost every other map in both Valorant and CS, the normal defender spread is some variation of this. Each site has an anchor, each site has a mid-flex player, and the last player is dedicated mid. On Icebox, the default spread looks like this. The entire gameplay loop on this map for both teams is to go A, spam util, and hope that you get lucky. Where's the slow-paced tactical feel? Where's the tense infiltration and execution? There's nothing here but A main brain drain for 40 minutes. Think about what this does for replayability. Since the majority of a match is focused on A site, most rounds will take place solely in this space, and the gameplay is going to feel repetitive extremely quickly, especially if you're grinding ranked. And I haven't even gotten to the worst part. If by some miracle attackers manage to plant the bomb, what do you think the best option for them is? Is it 1, play on site and fight, 2, push into defender spawn and fight, or is it 3, run the fuck away and hide in some random fucking corner until defenders try and tap the damn bomb? That's right, it's number 3. This is another problem that's somewhat unique to Valorant that CS doesn't have as much of an issue with. Post-plant spam. Plant the bomb while looking into any corner or against any wall. Whenever someone tries to defuse, just spray everywhere. better yet, use the plethora of mollies in this game to stall the bomb even more. You know how that feels on Icebox? Here, let me put you in the defender's shoes. The bomb has been planted and you have to defuse it. The enemy is hiding behind a random angle. Let's see if you can guess the right one. If you fail, did you get me? Let's try again. How about that time? One more go. I would love to theorize what would make this map work, but I'm not a Riot dev, and unless I want to spend an ungodly amount of time remaking Valorant, I can't test anything out. It would take forever to reprogram every ability, the weapons, the bomb, and the gameplay loop. Or I could just try Source 2 again. Introducing DE Hotbox, a Source 2 graybox made to test these changes in engine. I wasn't gonna settle for pretty renders, I need to be able to walk around and shoot people. So without further ado, let's dive right in. If our goal is to make Icebox a fun and balanced map, then the repetitive gameplay has to be worked out. First, we can rebalance A site. This should simplify the larger A area and reduce random angles. Second, we can improve the mid area to give attackers more options for map control. And third, we can rework B to make the site more viable for attackers. In almost every match on this map, A site is way too vocal, so my overall goal is to nerf A and buff B in mid. Lastly, I'm taking every opportunity I have to discourage post-plant spam and encourage more aggressive site play. Since I'm remaking Icebox in a different engine, I'm aiming for more experimental and drastic upgrades. We're exploring potential changes, not a finished product, so there's no need to limit our scope to realistic adjustments. There's also going to be some slight alignment issues from switching between engines, so some angles and sidelines might be slightly off. I'm hoping this doesn't cause any issues. Now for the changes. Let's start with B main. The shipping container has been shoved against the wall and green has been completely removed. Pushing out in this area just felt weird and cluttered. The lane is significantly wider now, and attackers no longer have to deal with defenders on this aggressive line. I would also suggest moving the garage spawn barrier forward. Yellow has been pushed against the wall as well. I feel like this space was really strong in the post plant, and I wanted to further reduce it, making B main more attacker friendly, but reducing attacker options in the post plant. Heaven on B felt really weak as a plant position, despite the fact that it's significantly harder to reach than default. If the whole point of this map is the vertical plant zones, they should feel like a strong goal. Default just felt so much easier and so much more rewarding, so I've removed default entirely, and I moved Heaven against this wall. This provides a strong elevated plant spot, as well as provides a new on-site position for attackers to play. I also put a ladder on the mid-facing side of Heaven to make routing more streamlined, especially in the post plant. In exchange for an easier fight getting onto B site, the plant area is now significantly recessed. The old spammy default is gone, now attackers either have to fight for Heaven or take the tiny strip of plant space right below it. There are also some boxes here. This was a suggestion to improve aggressive attacker fights into CT. I'm not super confident about that, but it does make for a good alternative plant spot. The biggest change to B site was a complete rework of kitchen and the removal of bridge and fence. I wanted to make a more defined site area that would enable splitting B, and with Heaven shifting towards B main, bridge felt vestigial, and the kitchen area felt clunky overall. Now Kitchen will drop players off where the fence gap used to be. I prefer this layout for a few different reasons. One is that during a B split, attackers have the aggressive option of pinching Kitchen. Second is that defenders get a much more direct and clear route onto the site during the retake. Last is that B site only needs 2 ground smokes to cut off vision from both CT entrances, hopefully making controllers other than Viper have more viability. Moving on to mid, let's start with that B entrance. Singular. Tube has been fully removed, and the space underneath Tube is wider. Tens posted online about how the map would instantly be better if defenders couldn't flank the attacking team from Tube. I kind of agree, and it wouldn't hurt to try out here. In exchange for that, attackers can now scale a rope to get on top of Tube without burning utility. This space used to be really defender-sided, so taking the old Tube and making it more attacker-friendly seemed like a solid way to balance out this area for both teams. The mid boxes have been made taller so attackers coming from underneath Tube can isolate duels from Kitchen. Kitchen has a ladder now, reducing the off angles in this area. And lastly, mid's attacker entrance now has an additional bit of geometry jutting out of the A site building. This is to remove the really annoying mid fight that defenders love to abuse on this map. Now defenders have to commit a lot more to watch for rotations. Before I touched A site, I wanted to come up with a plan for exactly what I wanted from the site. The verticality of this map is essential to its identity, so I want to maintain that. But I had to reduce and simplify this area, so instead of 5 tiny paths, let's make 2 defined lanes and use their verticality to isolate those lanes from each other. The biggest change is that 410 has been integrated into the side of pipes, completely removing maze. This gives defenders a really cohesive area to fight from. Attacker nest has been removed and belt has been reduced. This means that fights from belt and pipes are funneled towards this new, stronger defender position and towards the defenders holding a nest. In a similar vein, Catwalk has been significantly nerfed. I wanted to give defenders an easier time getting out of CT, and since I was removing the Catwalk, I thought I'd also remove the rat spot underneath it. I've also increased the pennable area on screen. This change is a little silly, but defenders should be able to get scan kills as attackers fight onto site or during the retake. The position on top of screens has been completely removed, further simplifying the vertical map space into one cohesive lane on a single elevation. 410 to Heaven is replacing the zipline. The zipline was extremely attacker friendly and honestly kind of broken. I decided to just integrate it into the upper lane instead of trying to find a way to rebalance it. Also because I'm not reprogramming his zipline. Hopefully these changes will make elevated fights feel more distinct from the ground fights. Speaking of, backside is deeper, and the barrel stack has been removed onto the site. These changes bring more focus to the site itself. With the nerfing of belt, the removal of attacker nest, and a little bit of width added to this wall, attackers are now forced onto the ground level to challenge the default plan from main. The box stack has been moved from the right side of Heaven to the left, replacing the old corner plant. Last thing is that the A main entryway has been shoved to the right. This prevents any operators from picking off attackers from goofy angles. The goal with all of these changes was to clarify the attacker lanes and simplify the site overall. With the new layout, gunfights should stay within a similar elevation. This should hopefully reel in the worst of the angle spam and the ratty post plants, making the site far more digestible overall. At this point, there's a million different ways that I can make Hotbox work, but I think this is a great place to stop. I gave myself a lot of freedom, but this is starting to lose its identity as an Icebox rework. I do want to say, I don't think any of these exact changes will make it into Valorant. There is a lot more that the Riot devs have to worry about when updating their maps that I don't have to consider. Maybe Icebox will only need 1 or 2 solid changes to really make the gameplay work. And that might make a modeler, and a developer, and a programmer really happy. They might find a lot of issues with these changes that I simply can't predict, or some of these changes might go up against internal guidelines for their map design. Then there's my own biases. I'm relatively new to designing maps, so there's probably obvious mistakes I'm making that I don't realize. I'm also a Cypher 1 trick, so the way I see and interact with the map is hugely different from other agents and roles. Hell, my favorite map is Fracture. With all that in mind, this is where I'm leaving it. Let me know what you think, or check out the map on Steam Workshop. It would mean the world to me. Man, Fracture is such a cool map. I'm not sure if people remember this anymore, but the release of Fracture really elevated this game. I know the map isn't remembered too fondly these days. It's been banned from the map pool at this point, but for a while, this game really managed to capture some of the magic that Overwatch used to have. The ability combos with their infinite variations, the unique characters and world, and a story that felt like it was building towards something big. I know it was always meant to be Counter-Strike with superpowers, but it felt for a while that the heart of Overwatch didn't die in 2023. That somehow it transformed to something new. A game that really felt like no other. And at the core of that was Fracture. The map layout that pushed the abilities in Valorant to their limits. Coordinated plays with Breach, Omen, Fade, and Neon to fight for desperately needed defender space. Attackers getting pushed back just to respond with their own massive ability combos. This meta infected every other map. You can see Haven matches with teams throwing galaxies at each other, split matches featuring spirit bombs. These agents really felt like gods. And my favorite was the only one with the nerve to defy them. Prometheus. It feels silly to look back at the chamber meta fondly, but that was the era where the game felt the most alive to me. Hell, it's the reason why I want to be a game dev. After making a map as genre-defying as Fracture, how could the Riot developers release something as benign as Pearl? Fuck that. I'll make my own map. I was such an idiot, but I still look back fondly on Deluge. I tried my hardest to take the dynamic defensive Fracture and mold it into a more traditional layout. But during playtesting, I couldn't find a good balance for controlling defender aggression and attacker options. After a while, I felt like I just had to remove parts of the map to make it functional. How would the Riot devs approach this problem? A month later, Riot released Lotus. And God, these rotating doors are perfect. It really gave me so much respect for the art of game development, and even more respect for the Riot devs, who were working tirelessly to make this game shine. Not even just in layout and concept, but the environment. Deluge was supposed to be a Roman bathhouse. I can't model that. I don't know how to use Blender. Compare that to Valorant, and every map in this game has its own unique gameplay, art direction, and context within the story. This game is truly one of a kind. I still hope that one day the game can return to the good old days. That maybe people would just see that Fracture really was the best era for Valorant. The visual clutter was just a necessary sacrifice. But maybe I've just grown up. I'm not the same awestruck teenager anymore. I have my own games I want to make now. Games that I'm really proud of. Maybe it's time I moved on from making CS maps. Maybe making this project was what I needed to realize that. If any Riot devs end up watching this video, thank you for making Valorant. Supposedly, we only get 10 years to be revolutionary. You all still have 4. Make them count. As for me, I'ma do my own thing.